Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Cruz. I'm Clint. We're here to answer your questions. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions earlier this week on the other video. A lot of really, really interesting questions, and I love that you're asking them too, because it means that you guys want to do it right and take it seriously, and that's really awesome.
Julianna and Joe aren't here because you didn't ask them any questions.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I think probably the most asked question was had to do with the diet.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like day-to-day meal plan, which I don't think we're ever gonna do.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys,
Yeah.
like that, because we all had very different. We all took to the rules very differently. So if you haven't looked at the videos or the PDF for the first episode, which is free and you can go look at it,
give it a shot.
But if you haven't, the really basic rule for it is no sugar, right? Which means no booze. Sorry. No complex carbs, bread, pasta,
Pastas, rices,
white potatoes, no candy, and desserts. Natural sugars are great. Veggies, fruit.
The thing that really saved me, honestly, was like I have a whole new relationship with vegetables now. Like, go nuts on vegetables. Take this as an opportunity to try things that you never tried before. Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes.
A ton of sweet potatoes. Cabbage. Cauliflowers. Cauliflower you can actually do a lot of stuff with.
Yeah, that cauliflower pizza that Julianna and I made, like, was it pizza? No. But was it delicious? Yes.
Did it scratch an itch? A little bit.
Yeah.
But it's tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's really hard, and there's no shortcut around it other than just you have to stay clean. For me, it was all. I mean, it's all chicken and vegetables and lean proteins. I ate some leaner cuts of steak. I didn't have hamburger, and I didn't do pork. But I did a lot of chicken. I did some steak and sashimi. I ate a ton of sashimi. That was sashimi with squeeze some lemon on it and then have a few like pieces of cucumber and stuff. It was a great snack.
I've seen at least one person, but a couple people bring up the like, hey, I'm not an adult yet. And I might have to eat whatever my family gets, and my mom makes French fries. What do I do? And I was always awful at this. It's a really common situation if you're trying to get fit and you're eating something different from your family. My brother used to be really good at this. He was just a selfish asshole about it, right? Like, he would take my mom's protein, whatever she made, like the chicken or the steak, whatever it was, the protein was usually fine. Even if it was a little saucy, he would just be like, okay, it's a little higher calorie than I want, but whatever. And he'd throw it on a salad and he'd be like, F your fries. Or he'd go in the fridge and make himself vegetables and stuff and not make any for anybody else.
That's one way to go.
It's one way to go. I think a better suggestion is to take your mom up on like cooking dinner for everyone once in a while and making everyone a little healthier. But if that's not an option, just hack it. Hack your mom's.
Yeah. There's, I mean, and that's the great thing about you can find online like ways to eat healthier. For practically any circumstance.
Yeah.
It's going to take getting creative about it, and it's going to take being like just insanely dedicated to it.
The program, it doesn't require you to be paleo or anything,
Yeah.
but paleo recipes online, a lot of them are super useful.
A lot of them work, yeah.
And so I would check those out. There's a lot of really useful resources online for that, for a lot of like really good vegetarian or like high protein based dishes that don't require pasta or rice.
Right. The other thing that's super important is your calorie count. Start counting your calories and then pay attention to your changes. Say if you're eating 2,000 calories a day and you're not losing any weight or you're gaining weight, then you got to dial it back. If you're eating 2,000 calories a day and you're dropping weight like crazy, then stay at 2,000 calories a day. Like, you just really have to pay attention to it.
There are a couple of really useful free apps out there for your phone that'll help you calorie count. They're not, I wouldn't rely on them 100%, but they put you in the right ballpark. So if you're aiming for like 2,000 or 1,800 or 1,600, you can at least be like, all right, I'm around 1,300. I can still like have a yogurt and some fruit or something. Part of the reason this is super hard is because it's totally and completely, and I don't know how many times we've said this, but I want to say it again, unsustainable as a lifestyle.
Yes.
This is not a lifestyle diet. This is not like, for the rest of my life, I can never have pie. Because we'd all go insane, right? This is a program that's very specific for 10 weeks. And after that, in terms of sustaining, like, I have now, even though I've kept working out and I'm gonna do another big push, I've reinserted some of those things back into my life. So if that's useful for motivating you to get it done because it was useful for me, then use that. Like, use the fact that you're only giving this thing up for 10 weeks. It's like super Lent.
Yeah.
Once you go through it, you learn so much about what food does to you and what exercises you do and how you're exercising that, like, then when you're done, I think you're going to learn a lot in terms of, like, oh, if I do this 5 times a day, I get these results. So now I'll just do an hour a day, 3 times a week. And I know that, like, I had 4 beers on Saturday night, so I'm going to run an hour on Sunday. With maybe Sunday was your off day, you're going to run an hour because you went out and had a couple drinks. Whatever it is, you finally, you're like, it teaches you so much about how your body works and what exercise does and what food does that you can kind of intuitively go from there.
Yeah, and it doesn't take all 10 weeks to start figuring that stuff out either. Like week 3, week 4 of doing this, you know, you're going to start to see what's going on. You're going to start to figure it out real quick. Oh, and over the weekends, same deal. Weekends, it's such a quick program. There's no time for a cheat day.
There's no cheat days.
There's just not a cheat day. So you have to stay clean on the weekends as well. Somebody asked how many times we gave up.
The first 3 to 4 weeks, I wanted to give up every single day.
Yeah.
There was not a single day that I wasn't like, fuck this noise. Then I didn't want to give up anymore. But I'm like you. I never quit, but I did cheat a couple times.
Yeah. When we started, I didn't think about giving up because I was all excited. Like, I was back in high school, you know, playing sports again. Like, I felt like great, and I felt energized, and I was happy to be on a program. And in the middle is when it got hard for me. So depending on who you are and what, like, you might have a harder time starting it, or you might have a harder time keeping going when it starts to get a little monotonous, when it starts to get into the 4th and 5th week. That's when I really ran into struggling to keep going for it, you know.
I would do it with a buddy.
Yeah, that's gonna help.
I think that would help.
Throw some accountability out there.
And then maybe, like, the days that you're like, he or she will be like, yeah, and they'll motivate you, and vice versa.
Moving on, several questions about the gear that you need, and there's been some questions about, like, how do you choose weights and things like that too. It really depends on you. I'm working it out at home. All I have is a yoga mat, a yoga ball, and a couple of different sizes of weights.
And I'm pretty sure for the program, that's all you need.
That's all you need. Yeah, we designed the program to start with specifically so that that's all you need. We're going to start adding some sort of gym alternatives that, you know, if you're going to a gym and you have access to machines, we're going to start adding some of those to the workout program. But it's designed so you can do it all at home. So that's literally all I need. I've got 25-pound dumbbells and I've got 10-pound dumbbells, and that's it. Go in, and even in choosing weights, honestly, go into a sporting goods store, pick them up, lift them, you know, do a couple curls, do a couple little kickbacks or something right there in the store and see how you can handle it. And then take them home and give it a shot. And depending on which program you do, like if you're on Joe's program, you know, the weights need to be a little higher because the reps are lower. And if you're on Cruz's program, the weights need to be a little lower because the reps are higher.
Yeah, I talked to Steve about this one this morning. He said, just use the weight that seems a little bit easy, but the last 2 or 3 reps of a set are hard. Yeah. Because that's the sort of the sweet spot for the weight you want. If it's too much at the beginning, if you feel like you're doing too much work at the beginning, by the time you get to the end, you're not going to be doing the exercise right, and so you're not going to do it right. And then if it's too light, it's too light. Also, and if you do the first rep, the first set, and it's too light, just move up on the next one.
Yeah.
Right? And count. You can count that set. Just move up on the next one, and then you'll know. And then you move up in weight when you feel like it's too easy. Like when you're like, oh, I can do this whole set and nothing is happening. Move up the weight.
That's the thing that Steve has always said too. If you're doing 10 reps, like 1 through 7 are the warm up for 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
In your set. So like the last, and if you're doing 20 reps, then you know, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, those need to be the really difficult reps.
Yeah.
Because that's where all the changes are really going to happen. So.
And there's no like, oh, you've been doing this weight for a week and now you have to bump it up. It's based on your body. So, for example, for simple curls, I started at Okay. I started at like 10 pounds, maybe 15. I was doing like 25 reps in 4 sets. And so I started with these really light weights, and I got, by the end of the 10 weeks, I went 10, 15, 20, and finally 25. It wasn't 10 increments, right? It wasn't a weekly increment of weights. And I was on 10 for like half the time.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the weight. Just do what's right for you and move at the pace your body is moving. And don't worry about what like other people are doing 55. Like,
who cares?
Who gives a
So we also got a lot of questions about which program to choose in the on VHX, which program to buy.
If you need to lose a lot more weight, pick me.
Yeah.
Mine's really cardio heavy, even in the weight stuff, because it's really about losing fat. But if you're like at 220, 230, you're where he's
That's more or less where I started. Like,
That's
remember,
not in between.
I lost almost 40 pounds. So my program is about losing fat as well too, because I was at 25% body fat. So like, there's a lot of cardio involved in mine as well.
But I would say if you're a dude and you're 250 and under, go with Clint.
Yeah.
And if you're 250 and up, go with me.
Just as a general rule of thumb. Yeah,
Yeah,
that seems
more or
about
less.
right.
The one tricky one is the Julianna question.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, like Steve designed these programs around our body types because we were on the show, and Julianna was the only girl on the show. So if you're a girl who maybe weighs closer to what I weighed, I would maybe start with my program, and then move on to Julianna's. And if you're a girl who's like smaller than Julianna, I would still probably do Julianna's program. If we ever do a season 2, which you guys have been asking for a lot, but we can't let you. I don't know if we can, but we're gonna try.
We're working really hard on it.
Yeah, if we get the opportunity to do that, then I definitely want to have more women on of different body types so that we can cover that. But
there's another question in here about taking longer than 10 weeks to do the program.
I would say no, because that's not the program.
Yeah.
Right? Like working out long term, yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, making exercise a part of your life, you're not going to regret. You know, this program is designed to be a sprint, and so that's sort of how you need to take it. If you want to use it as a tool to like sort of learn how to do certain exercises, there's more than enough stuff here for you to go to the gym and start working out a couple times a week. Obviously, working out on a consistent basis is going to be helpful, but the results that we got, I don't think they won't quite be there.
Yeah, I mean, because I saw those questions and a couple people were like, school starting soon.
Yeah.
It's not actually, it doesn't come out to 3 hours every day. Right. It works out more to 2. I think it worked out to 3 for us because we went a little slower because we were filming.
Yeah. Between filming and because Steve was bouncing back between all 4 of us, it took us a little longer.
Yeah.
When you're just doing it on your own in the gym, it should be an hour and a bit for the actual weightlifting and then however much cardio you need to do.
Yeah, and you can split that up. You can do the cardio in the morning and the weights at night, or the weights in the morning and the cardio at night. If you only have an hour before and after school or work, then I would say like just push yourself to wake up a little earlier and make that sacrifice. But if not, if like school is just too much right now and that's really important, then use it to learn a couple exercises, and then when Christmas hits or when summer break hits, then do a sprint. But like it's a sprint, so it's just time. Yeah. You know your life better than me. I don't know you.
I don't know you, man.
There's a couple of people, both in the diet and the weight section, that have asked about like medical issues and medical conditions, and neither of us are doctors. And Steve is a really extremely good trainer, also not a doctor. And so I talked to him about that, and he really emphasized that like for you just have to go to your doctor, talk to your medical professional, and let them tell you what you can and cannot do. And a lot of times for diet things, they already have alternatives because they're familiar with your condition. If you say to them, hey, I'm cutting out processed sugar, I'm allergic to fruit, they will know alternatives for you in ways that we won't. Or if you have, joint issues or old leg or injuries or things like that, like they're gonna know what your do's and don'ts are, because we're not there with you we can't
Yeah,
hope that.
and can't stress that enough. If there's a question at all, like, talk to your doctor. It's what they're there for, and because again, we're not going to have the answer. And as much as we say this program is worth it, it's worth it, it's worth it, you should do it. It's not worth getting hurt, getting sick. It's not worth any of that.
No.
You know, so like, you know, there's a way to go about it, you know, for practically anybody, I would say, but you got to go to your healthcare professional. You got to ask, you got to make sure it's right for you.
Just get a checkup and tell them what you're gonna do, and they might be like, "Ooh, it's a little too extreme," or if you're gonna do that, then like make sure to wear a knee brace or like do that. Like they'll know.
Yeah. So another question that we've been getting a lot is how to do the measurements. Steve has given us a chart, you know, that you can use. We'll make that available to you guys pretty soon. Biggest trick generally is to just stay consistent with where you're measuring. Make sure you measure yourself in the same place every time. The rule of thumb is go for the widest spot, like on your bicep. Do it across the crown of your bicep, the widest spot. Your neck, do it sort of up in the middle of your neck, not down around your collar, because it's not for a tailor. You know, and then your chest is roughly nipple height all around your chest. You're around, again, the widest part of you. Around your shoulders, your waist, again, not tailor measurements, so, you know, just sort of belly button-ish.
Yeah.
If you're hips and butt, same deal. Pick the widest spot. Again, if you're off a little or higher or lower, then that's not as important as making sure that you measure in the same place every time, because that's where you're going to notice the changes.
And then your weight and the scale. The trickier one is body fat.
Yeah.
And there's like devices. A lot of people have very strong opinions about which version of measuring your body fat is good. There's the calipers, and there's those scales that do it for you, and there's like a bunch of other things. You can read about that online and figure out which one you prefer. But in my opinion, and this is a really dumb opinion, for a program like this and for me, I didn't really care if I was actually at 21% body fat or 38% body fat. Right. Just use the same method the whole time. Because if you start and you use this device A, and device A tells you you're at 40% body fat, and you keep using the same device in the same way, and at the end it tells you that you're at 31, then you know that you've lost approximately 9% body fat. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to know that there were results, and as long as you're consistently doing the same thing, you can see those results. Whether or not I was exactly at 21, or I was at 19, or I was at 24, I don't know.
25% to 8% or 28% to 11%. Who cares?
Right.
Like, we got through the program. We're happy with the results.
Yeah.
And the big thing about body fat too is, or another one of the big things about body fat too, is to not get hung up on scale weight. Because if you're gaining muscle and losing fat at roughly the same rate, you know, you might not lose weight. But if your measurements are changing, if you look different, if your clothes are fitting differently, that's where you need to look for your results. Don't just get hung up on the scale weight.
Yeah, because it's like, a million people on the internet can tell me that I'm really at 23% body fat and not at 20.
Doesn't
matter. But like, look at my shirt. That's all I give a about.
Exactly.
So when you get down to like the lowest numbers, it's important because there's like a health issue. Right. You shouldn't pass. Like you shouldn't get to like 4%. Yeah. It's like not healthy.
Bodybuilders are like 4% body fat for like 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, and that's it, you know?
So, but for the majority of us in like the normal human range, like you just want to see progress and you want to know, so just be consistent. And for me, this program, like I did this program for one reason. We're a movie channel, and I was curious about what actors do and why they do it and like what it takes to do it. That's why I did it. Right? Like it then became about me and being healthy and a lot of other things. But that's why we started this show. But ultimately, why I think it's worth it is not because of the results, and it's not because I want to be a bodybuilder. I think it's worth it because for me, the sprint of it established good habits, and now I care enough about figuring out how to make it sustainable and figuring out my personal diet and I don't feel scared that I don't know what to do if I go to the gym or I look like an idiot. And so that alone for me was a good result.
Right.
I could have lost 10 pounds. And as long as I learned that and I wanted to keep going, like, it. One question that has been asked a lot is when the Invincible short is going to go up.
Yes.
And it will go up in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks-ish.
2 weeks-ish.
Soon.
The guys are working super hard on it.
Yeah.
We had to shoot it super fast. Partially because if you guys saw in the behind the scenes, John Morrison's in it. Johnny Nitro. His schedule was super tight. Comic-Con was coming up. We had to go to Comic-Con. It was crazy.
It was nuts.
So
it was a long couple of days.
They're having to like rotoscope a lot of the visual effects, and that takes some time.
Yeah. Okay, well that's a lot of answers from us. I think. I hope. Anyway, felt like it. I will also tell you that there have been a lot of questions about some things with the VHX videos. There's a couple videos that we've noticed some errors in and some omissions and some weird stuff happening there. Those are going to get fixed.
And
also,
we'll send out those little updates.
Yeah, we'll send out
get fixed.
Yeah, send out an update when we got it all taken care of. Also, Steve is now officially in the forums. So if you have really specific questions, I noticed somebody left a comment on this week's video about like, hey, my wrist hurts when I do this. That's a forum question. Like if you get a real specific question like that, Steve will be checking at the forum.
Yeah, just be a little bit patient. He's gonna pop it. He's busy because he's training actual superheroes. Yeah. He's gonna pop in like once or twice a week. So if you don't get an answer immediately, just chill out.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. Again, thank you guys for being really into this program. This show has been so much fun to do. I'm a little sad it's over. All right, but let us know if you have any other questions down in the comments below. And again, thank you very much. Go check out the VHX videos. The programs are all there. Totally worth it. Bye. I don't know why I said bye so weird.
Bye.
So
you
weird.
like Gollum'd it. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, preciouses.
Bye, precious.